everybody's your enemy. We need to go back to 50s gender roles. We need to go back to 50s behavior. We all need to be having babies. Trans folks don't exist. Women need to be in the kitchen making babies. Men need to have all the power. The military shouldn't have women. Trans people have no rights. Brown and black people have no rights. To me, it's just kind of like, okay, so he's literally just kind of returning us to the 1950s.
Hello and welcome to the Queer Vision podcast. I am one of your hosts, Becca, and sadly, Coey couldn't make it today. Coey is sick, so I took this one on my own. Today we sat down, I sat down with Dinah. She's a Spitfire. She is an elder queer. She says elder. She's 44, so not that much elder. But anyway, we talked a little bit about her experiences and what her life was like in comparison to what it is now, what it's like to date older, getting back into the bar scene, that kind of thing. We talked about a lot of little stuff, but yeah, I hope you stick around. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you laugh a little bit, because I did. Okay, well, enjoy this episode of The Queer Vision. Welcome to The Queer Vision. Normally what we do to start off is just have you introduce yourself, give us your pronouns, and then just a little bit about yourself just to get started and for the viewers to know who you are.
Okay. I am Dinah Holtzman. What to tell you about myself? I'm a Gemini. I like long walks down the beach, romantic candlelit dinners. Just kidding. I've been in Durham for about 2.5 years, but I did live here 25 years ago.
Okay.
So it's kind of strange to be back 25 years later. I'm discovering that people actually stay in the same place for 25 years, which is kind of crazy to me. I've moved so much, and just the fact that there's people from 25 years ago that are still here is pretty, it's pretty wild. What else? I have an 11-year-old daughter. I'm chronically unemployed at the moment. I'm working on it.
Same. Fine.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm not the only one. Yeah, trying to kind of transition out of early childhood education, not having a lot of luck there. I do weird, I guess I would say folk art projects. That's kind of my hobby. This is odd. The apartment that I live on, there's a lot of strange stuff kind of buried in the yard. No dead bodies yet, thank God. But I found a bunch of antique bricks from Haiti. So I don't know why that I was going to dig them all up, and then I built a stone wall out of them. Yeah, well, I guess there was a kind of a vicious Cujo dog next door, so I was also trying to protect myself from the vicious Cujo next door. Yeah, and now I have a random door that I'm trying to scrape down. If I'm back in preschool, I might use it as material for an art project, or for me, just trying to kind of explore my strange folk artist, sort of tendencies. So
That's cute.
That's kind of what I'm up to.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, cool. And what are your pronouns?
She, her.
So, you said in your interview sign up that you wanted to talk about your experiences as an elder queer. You already brought up a couple differences then. What are you experiencing now, and how are you dealing with what's happening with our government, knowing what you've already been through?
Are you meaning the federal government or state government?
Yeah. I mean, all of it being terrible right now.
Well, as an elder queer, I mean, in 2016, when Trump was elected the first time, I was a really messy kind of spot in my life. But I was immediately, I was actually born in Canada to U.S. citizen parents. So I had dual citizenship. As far as I knew, I hadn't really looked into it. And then as soon as Trump was elected, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I have Canadian citizenship. So I did. Sent in all my documents to Canada, and I got this letter saying yeah, you're still a Canadian citizen, but they never actually sent me my documents back. I don't really have any proof that I'm a Canadian citizen. And I technically don't really have any proof other than my not real ID driver's license that I'm a United States citizen. So I applied 8 months ago to get a document proving that I was born in Canada, that I'm a U.S. citizen, but haven't gotten it. Government shut down. So yeah, I mean, I have a daughter. If I didn't have a daughter, I would have led a long time ago.
Okay.
And for me, honestly, in 2016, I wasn't focused so much on the queer issues as a Jew. That's kind of arguable because I'm only half Jewish. The whole, it was a matter of time until this man starts putting people in concentration camps, and as a Jew,
you're right.
I was not alive, during the Holocaust, just as generations of Jew. I was like, this is no. I don't want to be that Jew that gets, stuck because I'm like, oh, I can't get that bad. And then I end up at a concentration camp.
Right.
Right. That didn't really happen in his first term, but now obviously it is happening. I'm not
Right.
the target group, but again, I'm kind of like, I need to be able to get out of here. Like
Right.
moments notice. So
That
my
makes
best hope is
sense.
just get to the Canadian border and be like, "Hey, I have citizenship. Just look, please, I know I have documents." But yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, right? And I don't
Yeah.
think anybody in World War II was like, "Oh, okay, they're coming for the Polish Catholics. Oh, okay, they're coming for the people that are in insane asylums." It's just kind of like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
not going to be me. It's not going to be me until then. It is you." And if you don't get it,
Right.
or it's you. You're kind of like, "Oh shit, it's me now. I should have gotten out, but I didn't."
Exactly. So, like, for me, and I feel like a lot of the people that are, like, in my generation and younger, like, we grew up with a lot of the rights that, like, generations before us didn't have, right?
Mm,
Like, I mean, obviously, like, gay marriage was, like, just recently, right? Like, obviously, I was, like, fully alive for that, right? I was an adult. But everything else, it was, like, getting better. And so I feel like we had, like, a freedom growing up that, like, maybe, like, your generation and above didn't necessarily have.
mhm.
So, I feel like we are seeing this shift, and it's different how we're experiencing it than how you experience it, if that makes sense. Like,
Well, it does.
yeah, I don't know. Is there, like, whenever you were growing up, what did you experience that, like, were you comfortable being who you were right away? Were you, like, did you feel more like you had to be closeted? Like, what was life like growing up for you?
I would say my situation was, it might be different from a lot of people's.
Mhm.
I grew up in a super liberal area in Massachusetts. Like they call it the Happy Valley. And that's where I think they call Northampton Lesbianville, USA. So I mean
Okay.
it's a very like, very left wing, very like gay people. And actually when I was around 10, my mom came out. I wouldn't say is gay. She was just having an affair with her female aerobics instructor, as one did in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my parents were separated, divorced, and that, it was a really ugly kind of separation divorce situation. So I think for me, it was coming out was kind of vexed just because of my mom. Part of me kind of
Mhm.
like, oh God, everyone's going to say it's because of my mom. And and I was
Yeah.
like, it's not, and I don't wanna give her that satisfaction because she's already such a narcissist, for her to be like, yeah, Dinah's gay 'cause I'm gay." Plus, my dad obviously would have a lot of issues with it too since his wife left him for another woman.
Right.
In high school, I knew, but there was and this is, like, so ironic looking back because I had no idea what was going on really when I was in high school. Nobody was out. There were no out gay people, and
Okay.
there was a woman and a man, or I guess I could say like a, girl and a boy who were like so clearly gay, which is maybe wrong. They were so clearly kind of ambiguously gendered, but they were like
Okay.
a couple and I was just like, they're both so gay. So, I mean, I had a boyfriend and I basically told him like, I'm pretty gay. But then a couple of years later when I went to college and I'd actually like come out, I kept seeing all these women who were like, "Oh yeah, I was totally sleeping with her." And I was like, "Where the fuck was I? I missed out on all that shit. I wish I'd known. I should have been playing sports. I would have been having crazy lesbian sex." Yeah, but on the face of it, nobody was out. And then, I went to a women's college. And I remember like my sophomore year, there were women coming in who were like, "Oh yeah, I had a girlfriend in high school." And I'm just like, how did I miss out on all this? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
My God, I feel so robbed. Say, all about me, right? Who cares about these other kids that get to be gay in high school? I'm mad because I didn't get that.
So it was, like, common, but it wasn't normalized.
Well, apparently, I mean, in my high school, I didn't. Well, I just was like, okay. Actually, I remember they had this like a workshop on. It was about like LGBT things, and I really wanted to,
Mhm.
go, but I didn't want to like tell my friend group that I wanted to go. So I was kind of like shady and like, oh, and then like maybe did this and that, and then like I rolled
Yeah.
up all already there, and I was like, okay, so I guess I didn't need to do all that weird subterfuge. It's gonna actually make me look more gay now because I was like trying to deny that I was going to this thing that everybody was at anyways. Yeah. Then I was kind of like, But yeah, so in college, there were freshmen. I mean, I'm sorry, first years. I went to a women's college. Thought they'd be so mad at me for saying that. Yeah, they came in being openly gay, and I was like, I didn't really come out until my sophomore year. Like my first year was kind of a struggle because I was friends with
Okay.
all straight girls, and then I was like deeply in love with one of my straight girlfriends, and it just got messy. And yeah,
Gotcha.
it was so. But sophomore year, I was like, yeah, I'm gay. Rah rah, welcome me. And then it was all good. Oh, yeah, and I think a lot of my
Okay.
year was just kinda like, "Oh god, my mom, I think this is about her." But yeah, once I came out, great, it was a blast.
Okay.
So
So that honestly feels pretty similar. I mean, like, minus, excuse me, sorry, minus the mother aspect, of course. It does feel kind of similar to some of the stories that we've heard, right? Of like, I kind of knew, but I didn't really know. And then, like, I found out everybody else kind of knew. Like, that's still a thing that happens pretty often, I will say. So I guess there's more similar than different.
well, actually, it's kind of a funny story. So when I was in, I was in ninth grade, and I was at a private school. I had a teacher who was, just, like, not that much older, right? Because
Uh-huh.
she's out of college, they can
Right.
private schools will hire you for dirt cheap. Now, they don't really care if you have, like, any experience. So she was probably, like, 22. I was, like, 13, 14, and I just was like, "Oh my god," just became completely obsessed with her, and I would just flirt with her in, like, the dumbest, most, like, I was like, I'm a rebel, so I would, like, call her by her first name and be like, "Mm-mm." And then it was a boarding school, but I didn't board there, so then one night I was there for, like, dinner with a boarding school, and then, dinner was over. So, like, for whatever reason, the 2 of us were kinda leaving together at the same time, and I he was walking to her car, and it just came out of my mouth. I was like, "What? No goodnight kiss?" And as I said, I was like, and she handled it so well, though. She just kinda like she briefly kinda looked back and laughed, and then she's like, "Not tonight," and went and got in her car, and I was like, "Oh, shit." That's kind of the moment where I was like, "I think maybe I'm gay because I just
Yeah.
asked my teacher to kiss me," but
I'm
yeah.
glad she handled it well, though. Like, I feel like every single person has a story about, like, acting stupid in front of a teacher, right? And, like, at least half of us have we had a crush on a teacher or at least somebody that was, like, awkwardly older than us that we shouldn't have been acting this way.
Well, I actually that was kind of the tame one. I think, like, the summer right before that, I was at a summer camp, and, oh my god, just thinking about it is kind of embarrassing. I was with a friend of mine who was in a different cabin. Each cabin had like different counselors. And so we're like hanging out in her bed, and her counselor's not there, and it's just us. And then her counselor, who I knew from kind of prior years, not that well, but I kind of knew her. So the bathrooms were like further away, and her counselor came rolling up in her towel. And so she's like, talking to us. And I'm talking to my friend Sandy, like we're on her bed, we're chatting, and then,
Mhm.
we're kinda like, "Oh, hey, counselor." So the counselor's, like, facing us in her towel, and then she, like, drops her towel, and I'm kinda like, "Okay." She's, "Alright, well," she's naked, so I'm kinda, like, averting my eyes, and then she starts, like she's looking at me, and then she starts, like, rubbing baby powder on herself, on her breast, and she looks at me, and she's like, "I just love baby powder, don't you, Dinah?" And I was like, it was very hot, nowadays would be considered very inappropriate, inappropriate,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think about it a lot, and I was like, "Wow, it was really hot." That was probably really not appropriate age-wise, and that was probably
Probably
some
not.
harassment, but at the time, I felt really embarrassed. Like, it was hot, but I also felt really embarrassed because I was like, she's,
Right.
like, calling me out in front of my friend Sandy, and there's no way that my face is not gonna, like, give away my response to this. Like,
Right.
there's no way I can control this. So, yeah. But that was kinda like that on top of my teacher was just kinda like, I think I'm pretty, like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's like those awkward times where you're, like, watching a movie with your parents and a sex scene comes on and you're just like, "Where do I look? Because I can't watch because then it'll look like I like it, but I
Well, it was also
now I'm uncomfortable."
yeah, it was so clearly aimed at me, but it was kinda
Yeah.
like it wasn't even like, "Oh, okay, Sandy, you're not involved." This is, like, me telling Dinah she's gay. So it was
Ooh.
just like yeah.
Note to all counselors out there, maybe, like, change not in front of your
The
campers?
thing was, it wasn't just that. It was like she knew because
Yeah.
I think I wrote her some letter, like, years before when I was, like, basically kinda saying, like, "I have a huge crush on you." So, I think it was, she knew. It was just her way of being like, "Yeah, I know and you know. Now, your friend Sandy also knows." But it was,
Well,
summer camp, you know? Things get a little wild at summer camp, so,
they really do. As
yeah.
a fellow camper, they really do.
Just
It's like what happens at camp stays at camp, but also you remember it for the rest of your life, and then you just have that, "Oh my god, I haven't been to camp in, I don't know, 15 years, and yet still I wake up embarrassed when I think about that."
absolutely. Formative time.
Formative times. Exactly. Why couldn't it have been like Dirty Dancing? I mean, the love of our lives.
That would have been great, except that I was 13, 14. But yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had
Like,
someone I was, like, totally in love with, but I was, 14. And she was
yeah.
18, so and also proudly straight, so it wasn't gonna, it was
There's
not.
no way that she was straight if she was doing that. There's no way.
Well, her no. I mean, actually, that was very funny because she had this best friend, and the 2 of them her friend who was, like, super blonde and from Florida looked like the most, like, kinda poofy hair, like, straight girl you could ever find, but everyone was convinced the 2 of them were actually, like, carrying on an affair.
Oh, really?
We're like, "Oh, but we both have boyfriends at the boys' camp," which is like, well, no, we're all kinda like, yeah, we kinda still think you guys are, like, carrying on."
Together. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hmm. So you said that you lived here before, like in Durham before, but
Did.
you were gone for 25 years.
Mhm.
So were you like in multiple places? Have you just
Yeah.
been like, okay, okay.
So, let's see, 25 years ago, I was with a girlfriend, a serious girlfriend, and the reason why I was here I graduated from college. I was accepted into, like, 2 programs in New York City area,
Mhm.
so I did those, and then I kinda went to wasn't really into either, went back to, Boston for a little bit and then came back to those programs. But actually I met my partner that I live with in Durham in Boston, and
Okay.
then just kinda decided, well, I wanna be with her, and she was going to grad school at Duke, so I ended up doing like, okay, I'm just gonna move to, be with her at Duke." So I did, and then we were in international student housing for a while, which of course, because I'm very international, and, then eventually we moved out of international housing. Yeah, so I was here because of her, and we lived
Mhm.
together in weird situations, like in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 of us. So yeah, it was kind of weird to come back because it was so associated with her in my mind. But that was ages ago, and she's in a different
Yeah.
place. And I'm in a different place. She's married, has a child, and subsequently, I was married and had a child now. So it's interesting to come back. We actually used to talk about like having children together when we were here 25 years ago. So it's kind of like now we're both married and we both have like children with not the same name, but very
Similar.
similar, like, her child's name ends in May, and so does my child's name, May. So it's just kinda, like, it's weird, but, yeah.
Yeah. So what made you come back then?
I did, like, a million years of grad school, so I left. She had to leave, North Carolina because she was foreign and her visa ran out. So she returned home, and then I was kinda cast adrift, and I was like, "What am I gonna do?" And so I'd been in this program at NYU, but I had kind of, like, left it, so I was like, "I guess I'll go back," and, this was in August of 2001, late August of 2000.
Oh,
So I, got back, lived in my apartment in Brooklyn, and then it was 9/11. That was crazy. Completely crazy, and I was still with her, but she was, back in her home country, and I was, calling to be like, "Hey, I'm okay." Not that I was ever gonna be anywhere near Wall Street, but yeah, and then I was just in a lot of grad school. I was in New York, in Brooklyn, that area for quite a while. I guess,
mhm.
like, 5 years. So I went to grad school in upstate New York and was there for a long time, and that's where I met my now ex-wife was in Rochester, New York, and then she moved us to Indiana, and then she moved us to Missouri. Mind you, we're, like, divorced at this point, but we have a
Okay.
daughter. So
You have a
basically,
kid. Yeah.
just if Carrie, I just follow her. I follow my ex-wife wherever she goes to be with our daughter because I don't know. the whole situation, I don't think I was really ever cut out to be like a full-time parent, and having a child was more her decision.
Mhm.
Actually, I would say almost entirely her decision. It wasn't that I didn't want a child, and our daughter is amazing, but
Right.
that wasn't really part of that decision-making process. It was just kinda like, "I'm having a kid, and you can stick around or you can get out." Yeah, that's kinda how I ended up being, a parent. Yeah, in Indiana just got really strange for me. Like, in Rochester, I'd been, like, this kinda hard partying grad student, and then I got a really good job,
Mhm.
and I was with my partner, and it was, like I don't think I felt like we were living quite as same the level of, like, bourgeois life, but maybe we were, and it just didn't really seem like it until we got to Indiana, but, yeah, so when we got to Indiana, I would just, like she got the hire there. I was a spousal hire, and she had, like, a really fancy position.
Mhm.
It was just so strange to me. It was like, it's a small, like, Indiana town. They call it a city, but it was kinda like, this is small. We hung out with, like, a bunch of other professors who were married and had small children, like, one of whom was gay, like, woman couple, and I would
Gotcha.
just walk around and look at my life and be like, "How did I end up in this life? How am I living in this, like, suburban bourgeois neighborhood where my socializing is, like, hanging out with mostly straight couples with small children?" I was like, "This is not the life I had ever imagined for myself," and I just felt,
Right.
"This is so weird." Just go to these parties for small kids, I'd be like, God. Oh my god. It was like kinda like the Twilight Zone. It was just like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, what how did I get to this point? This is so, like, alien to me, this life that I'm leading right now. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
blew it
Yeah.
up, kind of blew the whole thing up. We ended up getting divorced, and then it was like, I was fairly disreputable because I was no longer an academic, I was working kinda crazy jobs just to make money, and,
Mhm.
she had power and money that I didn't have. And again, I don't know that I was ever really cut out to be like full-time, parent slash single parent. So I was just kind
Right.
of like, "Oh, I'm movable. I'll just, follow them
Float
around."
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty transportable. I'm not in academia anymore. So you can pretty much go anywhere and find a job if you're not in academia.
Right. Except for right now when we're in a recession and nobody can find a job.
It is, yeah, it's really rough out there. Well,
It's so bad.
I mean, people always need preschool teachers. It's kinda one of those, it's like, because it's basically a horrendous job and you get paid no money and the
Mhm.
turnover is so high, you kind of feel like, but yeah, even that's kind of been hard, and also really just trying to get out of early childhood because it's so wildly dysfunctional and exhausting because of the adults. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's are exhausting
Yeah.
as but it's like, it's always the adults, and it's just
Yeah.
kinda like
Yeah, like, kids are, like, exhausting in the, "Okay, I am here to entertain and take care of you," and
right.
you're like, I know what I have to do to take care of you, so I can, fill my bucket before I go to work. Okay, I got this." But,
Right.
like, adults, you can do stuff on your own, you're just choosing not to at this point. Like,
I think it's
it's not
just
that
like
hard.
it's because it's so poorly paid. Like, it's really poorly paid considering that we're basically,
Mhm.
like, raising other people's children for them.
Right.
We're literally, like, parenting your children for however long you have them married. There were kids that were left there for, like, 11.5 hours a day.
Mhm.
So it's like the parents are seeing their kids for, like, maybe an hour before they put them to
Right.
bed. So it's kinda like, okay,
Right.
we're literally raising other people's children, but we're getting paid, like, peanuts to do it. It's also kinda like, if you don't love children, why would you be in this job? Like, of course you're miserable because you don't even like the kids anymore. For you,
Yeah.
it's just about, like, you have this routine, you have the consistency. That's really what matters to you at this point. You don't care that much about the kids. What you care about is just, like, having super control over your consistency routine, and, like, if anybody shows up that's potentially a threat, to your consistency or your routine, you're gonna, like, bug out and,
Right.
make, like, your arch enemy. Kinda like, you know what? For me, it's not about, like, you and your consistency and your routines. It's about the kids.
Right.
I would
Right.
rather be here to help the kids than to, like, keep you in your baseline mental state by abiding by all your, like, routines and consistency.
Right. Because
So
if every single kid has different routines and consistencies, that's a lot to deal with.
it's not, I mean, it's just more about the teacher. It's like, "Too hot.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't wanna go outside. It's too cold. I don't wanna go outside." And I'm
Right.
like, but it's not about you and your feelings about weather. Like, it's about the kids. I will take them outside in the cold. I will take them outside in the heat because they're children and they need to be outside. And yes, it's not that comfortable outside, but like, it's not about you and your feelings about the weather.
That's true. Yeah.
So, like, there's never enough staff. The administrators are often making like really questionable decisions. And it's just,
I think that's how it is with like every career field too. Like,
kind of true. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I was trying to think of that. Is there any job that I've had where it was like actually fairly functional? I mean, I
No,
was,
and I think that's where like
but it wasn't. I mean, in academia, I kept ending up in all the departments that were like in suspension. We got into so much trouble, and it was not because of me, because I came in when they were already in trouble, but they were like suspended and were kind of being like babysat by like a provost or a dean. I would know.
and then you're micromanaged.
Like until they could kind of like prove that they had managed to get it together. And, when I went into American studies, there were all these battles about like American studies versus history. And I was kind of like, I wasn't trained in either. It doesn't, this is not, I don't have any skin in this battle between American studies and history, but it was like, oh God, it's like the Civil
Yeah.
War. I was just kind of like, what?
There's like drama in every single career field. And like every single one that I'm in, it's like anytime I get into anything, there's infighting somewhere, and there's also somehow they can't hire enough people, so you end up having to do more work than you're supposed to be doing. And then like somehow from the time my parents were working, like started working until I started getting jobs, it turned from salary is something you should want because sometimes you have less work and you get to go home early, and sometimes you have a little more work and it's okay, to no, your salary. So even though we're paying you for 40 hours, we expect you to be here for 50.
Yeah, no, in preschool,
Like,
you do not want salary. You do.
no, it's terrible.
Nope.
There's no overpay. They expect you to be here longer. And then it's just like this is where I am with like technology of why are we using technology to create like videos and spoof some people instead of trying to find ways to make our jobs easier so that like we're less stressed every day. Like,
You're going to be taken over by AI. What are we even worried about? Like, in 2 minutes, it's all going to be AI. You're not going to have any job. It's not going to be chat.
which
That's terrible. It's probably not
like
true. I hope it's not true, but
I hope it's not true, but I also kind of hope it is true, right? Like, I feel like the increase in technology, the whole point of society should be that we come up with ways to work together and come up with things that can do the things for us, right? Like, less work for people means, okay, instead of I'm taking your job with technology, it's I'm taking 3 hours off of your workload while you still get to get paid.
that, yes, but that's not how it's going to work because
I
we live
know.
capitalist United States, and it's just going to be like, let's get rid of every human worker that we can get
I
rid of.
know.
We'll just
And
write
then
off
and then make them fight each other so that we can take all their money.
the humans. Yeah. Well, I mean, the good news about it is that it might reunite humans against AI instead of against each other. Everyone's kind of speculating about it. I'm
I
like,
hope.
we saw the movie Terminator. We know how this ends. Like, why
Weren't there
are
more
we?
than one of those? There's like 10 of them now, aren't there? Like how many Terminator movies are there actually?
But I was like, we basically like got the gist of this in 1984. Like, the humans are at war with the AI, and they're smarter, and they're gonna wipe us out, and that's fine because we deserve to be wiped out. Not in the movies. In the movies, they're like, John Connor, Jesus Christ, has to save us from the future, whatever. But I'm like,
Right.
we're gonna wipe ourselves out like
Oh
before
yeah.
I can even take over. So I'm not that stressed because I'm like, our planet's dying. White settler colonies are all losing their friggin' minds. White people are like bugging out and trying to get rid of all brown and black people because we don't want to be the racial minority. Like, who the hell cares if you're the racial minority? It's not like all people of color are going to reunite and kill whitey. Like, I mean,
No,
that'd be
they
great if they did, but they're not going to. We can't even get along in our own groups. Let alone-
honestly, no. Those white people that are doing that are just afraid that they're going to be treated the way that they were treating anybody that is a minority now, right? Like that's literally the whole reason. That's why men are afraid of women getting power is because they're like, well, you're going to treat us the way we were treating you. So I'm afraid of that. I'm not going to let it happen. And it's like,
I don't even know if it's that deep. I think it's just like people are desperately like clinging to the one form of like privilege they have. Like men are like, well, I may have nothing else, but I'm a man, right? And then poor white people are like, well, I may not have anything else, but I'm still white.
right.
And it's
That's
not so
true.
much about like, oh, hordes of people of color and white women are like coming to get me. It's just kind of like, well, statistically, I'm going to be in the minority. And like, who really cares? Because that doesn't really mean anything. But like, if I'm going to become in the minority and I'm like in threat of losing my gender privilege, or I'm in like threat of losing my skin privilege, which are like the only privileges I have left, and like,
Hmm.
I can't cope, I can't function, I can't like, that's all. That's all that I have. If I have nothing else, and I'm going to lose it, and I can't. So let me just
Yes.
fight everyone who's not me to try to like maintain my white privilege. Like, what does white privilege give you? Nothing. If you're poor and you have white skin, like bully for you, but your white skin's not doing anything for you.
It's
Why are
keeping
you
you safe
fighting
from
so hard?
cops.
What? Fair, fair point. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, I guess that's what you got. Yeah, all right. So you're not
Yeah.
gonna get killed for walking while black, but it's just kind of like
Honestly,
that's
it's all made up too. Like have you seen the theories that we had technology that was to this level or more before and we just completely ruined a planet and then we came here and this is the settler colony, that like Mars was actually where we used to live?
You know what? That's like clearly kind of conspiracy theory, but it makes perfect
Obviously,
sense to me. It makes perfect
right?
sense because it's exactly what we're trying to do now. Well, let's go colonize Mars so we can destroy Mars. I mean, that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
like. Like, I mean, honestly, we're going to wipe ourselves and this planet's out long before AI is going to have the time to like get it together. And frankly, like, if they did, great. I feel like I don't know. I mean, could they go any more rogue than Trump has? Possibly, but like, it seems hard. I mean, I personally, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but like people debate. I'm kind of like, I'm really ready to welcome our Chinese overlords. Like, honestly, like it could be worse than Trump. Like, yeah, the personal freedoms, I would kind of miss it, but like to me, I actually think the Chinese would probably run the country a lot better than Trump. They probably wouldn't like, destroy it and be like Nero
Yeah.
fiddling Roman civilization. So like, great, come take us over, China. I'm down.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I don't even know how we got here in the first place. Like, growing up, I kept thinking, like, oh, we're getting better. We're going more progressive. Like, it's great. And then, like, all of a sudden, college hits and we're saying goodbye to Obama and saying hello to an orange. And he is an asshole and he just hates everyone. And I'm like, how did we get here? And then you realize, our government actually doesn't have laws and rules because it's all based on a gentleman's handshake.
I mean, okay, this is not going to be diplomatic. I tend to think all
That's okay.
politicians are basically horse, which I think they are. I mean, not in a bad
Yeah.
way, 'cause they don't judge like horse, sex workers to some extent. We're all kind of that, even if it's not sex. But I just kind of feel like I guess it's kind of been building up, and maybe in part it was a reaction to Obama. They say history is like the pendulum shift.
Right.
Typically, you see more like the pendulum doesn't go like here to there,
Right.
right? It's kind of like maybe
Usually it's a gradual.
but to me, it's like, okay, well, you have Obama, and thus we have proved, because we have had one African American president, that we are now like at the apotheosis of liberal American history. A Black man can become president. And then we go to big white lying daddy, who's like, everybody's your enemy. We need to go back to 50s gender roles. We need to go back to 50s behavior. We all need to be having babies. Trans folks don't exist. Women need to be in the kitchen making babies. Men need to have all the power. The military shouldn't have women. Trans people have no rights. Brown and Black people have no rights. To me, it's just kind of like, okay, so he's literally just kind of returning us to the 1950s.
Well, yeah, because Make America Great Again only works for certain people.
Well, yeah, but it's basically the 50s. And what's amazing to me is like that white women are like, yeah, great, sign me up. I'm like, okay, so you want to go back to being how women were in the
Yeah.
90s? You want to go
Yeah.
back to being like on tons of Valium at home? That's what you want?
Yeah.
And for
Because they don't
people,
want responsibility.
so do we really want to go back to this era that's like we're going back to Jim Crow US? Like this is what we want? Why are we voting to go back to like hardcore gender roles, heteronormativity, the Cold War, no like white women rights, no rights for any people of color? Like why is
Yep.
this interesting? Is like people just want this big white scary daddy who's completely irrational. It's like very Oedipal. It's all kind of like we've returned to some weird Oedipal stage where like we need big white scary daddy who's completely irrational to tell us what to do, and he's terrifying.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it's a mixture between the lion ate my face of, like, they think, "Okay, if I'm on their side, then they won't eat me," and it's like, "Okay, well, they will. They're just gonna eat other people
There's
first."
no rules.
Yeah.
There's no rules. Actually, I have to say Trump is a lot like sorry, I'm kind of like a psychoanalyst, not literally, but my dissertation had a lot to do with it, and there's, like, the concept of the primal father. Trump is 100% that primal father. He has, like the primal father is, like, threatened by all of his sons, and he wants all of the women, including his own daughters, for himself. And the
Yep.
sons ultimately have to kind of come together to kill the primal father if they want. And they say, like, largely it's because they want access to the women. But I'm like, oh my God, that's Trump. He is a primal father. I mean, he's
So
clearly like, oh, my daughter's hot. I need access to all women. And so let's hope
yeah.
it's not up to the sons because I don't think the sons are actually going to take him out. I think the sons
In
are.
this analogy, would the sons also branch out to Republican congressmen?
Right, or they're just like, "Well, yeah, okay, when he dies, when Primal Daddy dies, I can become Primal Daddy."
Right.
That's just like,
No.
clearly, well, it's gonna have to be up to, like, the people who are not the Primal Daddies and the Primal Sons, i.e., white women and people of color. It has to be like, "No, thank you. No, thank
Yeah.
you."
I'm really hoping that this is like that dying the dying energy. You know how, like, whenever people are, like, really sick and then they get a
Mhm.
really big burst of energy at the end and you're like, "Oh, they're healing, they're fine," and then they're, like, dead the next day? I'm hoping this is that, because
I think that's for the United States. I wish I could say it was for Trump, but I actually think that's what's happening for the
really,
Yes, yes, percent, I do. I mean,
really.
and not just maybe the United States, but for the planet. A lot of people are like, "Oh, yeah, no, no, it's fine. We're gonna go on for generations." I'm like, "Look at the climate on this planet. Look at what's
Yeah,
happening with the weather. We do not have that long." I
right.
think you are in denial. Like, think about what we're going through now weather-wise. How many more years can we withstand these kind of weather situations? I don't think that we could maybe make it 100 years, like in the US. If you're not living on a coast, you're living in the US Midwest, maybe, but there's hurricanes and tornadoes. I'm just like, I don't think that we're actually going to make it that long.
Yeah,
I think Trump's running us into the ground, but it's not just a matter of like politically. I mean, I think the US is dying as a
right.
world power, at least. We're dying and we deserve to die as world power because we're fucking morons compared to the
Honestly,
that are on the rise. It's just the truth. Like we are fucking
yeah.
morons.
I honestly just don't understand how an invisible line matters so much. Like, I guess I've always been the person that, like, rules don't make sense to me when it comes to, like, they have to have a justification in my brain or else it's not really a rule. Like, I know that it's there, like, I'll respect it because I don't wanna deal with the conflict, but, like, for the most part, let's be honest, sometimes I'm just gonna do it because fuck you. But, like, I don't understand I don't understand that, like, I can be standing right here and there's nothing in front of me and I can step forward and now I have different rights because I'm in a different state or a different country or like that doesn't make any sense. I just
Nope.
don't understand it. I don't know how we got here and I don't understand. I've never understood why people can't just have a conversation. Like I fight with people all the time because like
It's
we we realize we're having two different conversations, right? Like you ever like talk to somebody and you're like, "Wait a minute. That's what you thought I said? No, no, no." And so you're like, no wonder we were just both arguing with each other about what needed to be done because you thought that I was telling you to do the dishes and I was telling you I'm going to do the dishes later. Like
but you're
I don't know.
assuming rationality. You're assuming rationality.
That's true.
It's just not. We do not have like a lot of rationality happening right now. So
No, we
I
sure don't.
appreciate folks having rationality, but we're not there right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right. On your sign up sheet, you also mentioned something about the bar scene and we're getting closer to an hour. So I wanted to see if you wanted to talk about that or what you wanted to mention about that.
Well,
Um,
I
or
don't
if
know
there's
what.
anything else you wanted to chat about.
Um. Well, I guess I was telling someone about this. When I was in my early 20s, out of college, in Lesbianville, USA, I had this moment of, Northampton's a really small town. There's not a
Mhm.
lot. Well, there's a lot of like lesbians, or at least bi curious women who think they're lesbians or not going to ultimately go on to be lesbians. It's a whole other story. But
Mhm.
for college, I was kind of like had this moment of a kid, like, okay, I'm a townie. I'm not like in one of the colleges, and I had this group of friends, and it was like all of a sudden, I mean, it's an incredibly small pond, but I became like
Right.
a big fish. Like one of, I guess there were three of us. So it was like one of three big fish in this very small pond. And it like ruined me for life because I was like, everybody wants me. I'm irresistible. My God. Like literally everybody in this town wants to sleep with me or one of the other two big fish. And then it kind of took me a long time to then I went to New York City and I was like, "Okay, yeah,
Oh,
not everybody actually wants me in New York City. Okay, yeah, it's like a big city. I'm still pretty irresistible in general, but like, yeah, not everybody in New York City wants me."
right.
And I had some truly weird dating stuff in New York City. And then I was in a relationship for a really long time. So then I got out of the relationship in my, I don't know, I guess it must have been in my mid 40s, but in my mind, I'm still like, oh, yeah, everybody wants me, even though I'm now 44. Chubby, divorced, and also like, disreputable academic at this point. So yeah, and I mean, also I think that because I had a lot going on in my life, like getting divorced and, changing career, I think it probably I wasn't really in the right mental state
Mhm.
anyway dating, but then I was just kinda like, and I think that happens to a lot of people, it's like, okay, you kinda end up back in the single scene when you're, like, in your 40s or your 50s, and it's kinda like, "I'm this again." Um,
Mhm.
so I got into it thinking like, "Oh, it's still the '90s. It's gonna be just like the '90s." And I'm like, it's not the '90s anymore. Because, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were people I just, like, slept with automatically off the bat, and I was like, "Okay, it's still the '90s," and then I kinda started
Mhm.
figuring out, oh, particularly with younger people, okay, no, I did have some luck, honestly, with the younger people, but it was kinda like, "Oh, people don't, like, have sex immediately anymore. Oh, okay, you're supposed to wait. You're supposed to ask for consent every step of the way."
Mhm.
I was kinda like,
It is a
so,
difference.
yeah, I mean, it was a lot to I mean, I think I'm better at it now, but I also I haven't really, since I separated, I haven't had, like, a real relationship. I've had some flings, but I haven't really, guess I'm, like, dated for, like, a month or something. Yeah, it's a different scene, and it's also, like, the bars are mostly young people. And I don't feel like I know that I'm my age, right? Like I can look at myself and see like I am the age that I am. But I think a lot of people have this. You don't feel like
You
in
are
your
the age you
mind
are.
who you are necessarily matches what you look like. Like in my mind, I'm
Yeah.
still like maybe a teenager, but other people would say I'm like an 8-year-old boy trapped in the body of a woman. So and in preschool, I tend to meet a lot of younger women.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's not like, I want young women necessarily. It's just kind of like that's who I meet. And if I don't have a social life going on, which, I typically don't, then I'm kind of making those connections at work, which is always a little dangerous. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, now I'm like kind of flirting slash carrying on with like a much younger person at work. And that's always a little like, it's dangerous, but um, yeah, the bars I think are hard just because it is so many young people. And I forget it and I'll interact them and I'll flirt and I'll be like, oh yeah. But then it's kind of like they'll give me their number. I'll text them, they'll disappear. And that's kind of like, oh, well, it's nice. They're a thoughtful generation, but they'll like, give you their number and then ghost you. But yeah, it's kinda hard. I joined a site called Her, and that's actually gone much better for me because I think it's older women.
Mhm.
So, yeah, since I did that, I've kind of had more luck, but it's also this is gonna sound horrible, but, a lot of women my age are, like, they're either perimenopausal or menopausal, and I guess for a lot of women, I don't know because I had a hysterectomy, so I have no idea what my menopause situation is, but, a lot of those women are kinda like, "Oh, I don't really have any libido anymore."
Oh,
And I'm kinda like, I want a woman with libido because I have a lot of libido. Would
right.
like to be with women like around my age, but I also really want to be with women who want to have sex. And unfortunately, some, not all. Please God, not all. Yeah, a lot of them are kind of like, I just want to be friends. I want to be cuddle buddies, or I want to So I need like I guess the libido of a young. I don't even know if the young people have that much libido anymore either. Frankly, it's kind of like a whole different world. I guess there are people out there who want sex, but there seems to be a lot less focus on it.
There is a lot less focus on it right now, I think, or at least from what I've seen, obviously, if you're in, like, the kink world or if you're in, like, a certain subset of the bars and stuff like that, or a subset of just, like, society, I guess, there is, like, a lot of hyper focus on sex, but I think now what I've seen is more normalizing of bodies in a way that, like, it's not as sexualized to just be whatever state of undress you want to be. And then becoming more relationshipy. Like, I don't care if we're friends or if we've slept together once, we have to form some sort of a connection in some way, which I think can be healthier, but then also can anything can lead to be too much, right? Like, sometimes you do just need to, like, go out, make out with a stranger, and forget about it the next day, right? And just get it out of your head. But
See, like, I would just go have sex with a stranger. And
fair, fair.
I mean, yes, I've done the makeout, but it's also kinda like, I don't you know what, this is probably true, like, regardless of gender identity, because I know that generations, like, after mine have just had a lot less sex, or
Mhm.
it's kinda breaking into, like, demisexual,
Right.
straight, whatever. That's in some ways, that's kinda been the hardest thing for me to adjust to is like, oh,
There's a
I'm
lot more
probably
labels.
gonna, like, get a lot of, like, "Okay, we're hanging out, and we're gonna have sex immediately," kinda thing. And also, I guess, like, a lot of people, not just people my age, but younger people are like, "Oh, sex is not," not that they don't necessarily want it, but everyone's kinda like, "Oh, it'll be fun." So, yeah, it's hard. I mean,
It is hard.
I would like to actually have a real relationship, but I've kind of given up on those, so I'm just kinda like, can I, like, random sex once a year?"
Mm. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, if I had to go back onto the dating field right now, I would hate myself forever. Let's
Why?
see, I hate it. Like, I used to whenever I was in college, I used to, like, go out to the bars a lot, have fun, take home a stranger, make out with a stranger, doesn't matter, dancing with anybody, sharing drinks, and then I don't know when it happened,
Well,
but at some point in the last, like, 3 years, I have become so grossed out by people, and, like, I think the start of it was COVID because
yeah,
obviously, like, I noticed, oh, there's, like, a a large subset of people who don't wash their hands, and then, like, there were those, like, infographics of, like, when you sneeze with a mask on, it goes
right.
here. When you sneeze without a mask on, it goes here. I'm like, "Oh," and then, like, I started doing some yoga in groups, and I realized that I could feel the breath of the people around me, and then I was like, "Oh, that has moisture in it," and also, that was just in their body, and, like, I know that my entire life I have been breathing in other people's air, and I get it, and I'm fine with making out with my partner. I love him so much.
Mhm.
However, people are disgusting. And, like, I don't
Yeah,
think I could go, like, even just going, so we have a bunch of events and, like, I went to a few of the first ones and, like, I'll go to some of the ones that are during the day. I don't like being out at night, let's be honest. I'm tired. I wanna go to bed. But, like, I'll go out and I just, like, it's also crowded and I'm like, "Oh, and I'm sweaty, and so I know you're sweaty," and, like, it's just I know I can let it go for, like, an hour, but, like, if I had to, like, then try and start a relationship from meeting you in person when I'm in that situation, I just don't think I could anymore. I'm like, I if I wasn't with Justin, I think I'd just be like, "You know what? I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay without a relationship or touching another person for a while."
yeah. No, I get that. I've never been like, no shade on you. I've never really been especially like germaphobe ick.
It's new.
Well, I'm
It's
of
new.
the theory that like, and I'm an outlier, but I'm of the theory that like, the more crap that you're exposed to, the more immune you're gonna become.
Mm,
And that was kinda like one of my beefs in preschool was like, why are we, like, just endlessly washing hands? Because this is the kinda thing I don't know if I can tie to sciences. I think there actually are scientific studies that say this, but, like, if your kid is, like, hyper washing their hands all the time, they're actually more prone to asthma.
mm,
Because they're not, like, ever if they're that clean, they're never actually getting a chance to, like, be exposed to the things that you're supposed to be exposed to in childhood that help to build
right.
your immunity.
Yeah, because it's like a gray area, right? It's like, okay, well, don't stick your hands in poop and then try and eat. But then also, if you're working on something and then you stick your hands in your mouth like a child would do, that's happens.
Yeah, I mean, and as a preschool teacher, I got sick all the time, and I was like, "Oh, it was great. I'm gonna be into everything." No, I was always
No.
sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, to me, it's just kinda like, yeah, I don't have that. I mean, also, maybe it's because of how I grew up, in Gen
Yeah.
X, we were all probably filthy dirty, and we all, like, made out and had sex with everybody and didn't really, like, think about the germ.
Okay, so we are at about an hour. Is there any, like, I know you have a YouTube. Do you wanna, like, rep
Oh my
that?
god, my YouTube is embarrassing. It's just,
Okay, you put that in the thing. You don't want me to put that in
I
then?
mean, you can if you want. It's just me looking busted, usually wearing, like, a kimono and singing stupid songs. And
Fun.
it's I wouldn't even call it art. It's just kind of like a weird thing that I do, but I enjoy it. It's yeah,
Cool.
that's fine. You can promote the hell out of Tiny Woman, Tiny Mike. Sure, it's gonna
Perfect.
generate huge success for me. Tiny Woman, Tiny Mike's gonna just take off. I'm gonna be a
You never know. You never know. Thank you so much for listening or watching this episode of The Queer Vision with Dinah. Like she said, you can go ahead and go to her YouTube. It will be below, but it will be on her featured queer profile on our website. To see that, you can go to queerolina.org. It's queerolina. And then you can click that featured queers tab and you can see all the people that have consented to being in featured queers that we have interviewed or put in the magazine or that have been on our other podcast, Smut Did You Say, hosted by Nurse Nikki. So anyway, if you haven't checked out the podcast, Smut Did You Say, you should go listen to that. That one's really good. And you can also go to our shop and see this cute, cute sweater. This is Charlie. Charlie is our mascot. So Charlie was drawn by Lost Boy. We interviewed Forrest, who is Lost Boy, I believe, for our November episodes. But he is an amazing artist and you should go support him. He is on our About Us profile on the website, and you can buy a shirt to support him or a tote to support him on the website as well. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for learning about Dinah, and go spread some queer joy. Okay. Love you. Bye.